When Calls the Heart, Season 10, Episode 7, Best Laid Plans. The sale of Bill's property to Madeline is done. She's signing the papers. She doesn't look happy. She's looking sad. To me, she looks shifty because I know she's up to no good. I don't know what no goodness she's up to, but it's something. She told Bill thanks, and he said no need for thanks. This feels right. Bill told her the deed is now yours. I should take you up to the cabin and show you around. She said there's no need for that. I got a telegram from my husband's lawyer and he needs me in Union City today. Elizabeth walked into the school and there was a book and an apple on top of her desk. She looked puzzled. A voice behind her said, I borrowed that book from you years ago. I'm sorry it took so long for me to return it. Elizabeth turned around and said, Rosalie Sullivan. She said, hello, Mrs. Thornton, and they hugged. Lee was talking baby talk to the baby, and he was saying, a trestle bridge, and then he realized he was on the phone. Oh, of course, a trestle bridge. I'll have it right to you. Thanks, of course. Rosemary came into the office and told Lee that there was a lot of people outside waiting on him. And he said, well, I guess I need to get to that. And she said, I understand. You don't want to miss this time with Goldie. And he said, yeah, you're right. Maybe I do need to get some help. And he said he would talk to Joseph about doing more things around the office. Rosemary said, good, they're coming to dinner tonight. And around the same time, Joseph and Minnie were talking. And Joseph was talking about being a full-time pastor. And he said that it'd have him underfoot a lot more. And Minnie said, I'm pretty sure I would like that. You'll have time to take on Eagle Creek. And Joseph said, for sure. They've been without a pastor for months now. Minnie said, yes, you'll finally be able to concentrate on what you've been put on this earth to do. Joseph said, but quitting on Lee. And Minnie interrupted him and said, Joseph, Lee's your friend. He wants what's best for you. You just have to let him know what that is. Joseph said, I'll talk to him this morning. Joseph kissed her on the cheek as he was on his way out the door. And she said, oh, and asked him what should we bring for dinner. Joseph said, will do. Nathan rode up to a man. He was out of it, sitting on his wagon. Looked like he was coming in and out of consciousness. Nathan stopped and got on the wagon and put his hand on the man's shoulder and looked around. Lucas had a new surprise. It's Hope Valley's very first radio. Mr. Yost, Fiona, and Mike were amazed. Mike said the guests are going to love this. Lucas wanted to turn the radio on. He wanted to surprise the guests. Mr. Yost said, may I? He turned the knob and nothing. They all looked disappointed. Mike said, oh well, it's a good thing we didn't get their attention. Molly and Rosaline met on the street and they hugged. Molly is Rosaline's mother. And Henry was doing yard work in the garden, and Rosaline looked over at him and said, he's still here? And Molly said, he's changed. He's not the same man. Time has changed him. Rosaline said, he let Dad and the other miners die in that mine. Nothing will ever change that. Joseph and Lee met on the steps of the newspaper. Joseph said, Lee, there's something I need to talk to you about. Lee interrupted him and said, it's funny you mentioned that because there's something I want to talk to you about too. Joseph said, oh? Lee said, yeah. How would a partner in Coulter Lumber sound to you? You and me running the show together. Joseph said, Lee, that's so generous. I don't know what to say. Lee said, Joseph, look, there's no one else I would rather be partners with. They shook hands and hugged. Lee said, okay, I got to get back to work. Then he said, oh, was there something you needed to talk to me about? Joseph said, just the monthly production reports. Nathan rode into town with driving the sick man's wagon. Mike came up to help him get the man down and take him into the clinic. They went inside and Faith said, "What happened?" Nathan said, "I found him passed out on his wagon." Faith said, "He's overheated, almost no pulse, and he looks dehydrated. He needs water." She told Molly to get some salt pills and some damp cloths. She said, "Sir, can you hear me? Sir, I need you to drink this." And she gave him some water. And he woke up and coughed a little bit and said, "Where am I?" Faith said, "You're in Hope Valley, sir." Nathan said, "I brought you to see the doctor." And the sick man said, "Then where is he?" Nathan said, "She's right there." He looked at Faith and frowned and said, I want a proper doctor. I'll ask again, where is he?" Mike, Nathan, Faith, and Molly looked at each other. Mr. Yost, Mike, and Fiona were looking at the radio, and Faith was looking through a book, and she said that, "I think we need an antenna." Mr. Yost said, "I doubt if it didn't come with an antenna, I doubt we need one." When Lucas walked up, Fiona said, "We need an antenna," and Mr. Yost said that he would take it apart and look through it to see, what was wrong with the radio. And he asked him, did he want him to do it? And he looked at Mr. Yost. He said, "Well, I don't see how that could hurt." Fiona closed the book. As she was walking away, she said, "I'm going to find an antenna." Fiona showed Joseph a design she made of an antenna, and she was asking him, did he have the parts for it? And he said yes, and he gathered up the parts, and she's going to make an antenna. Faith, May, and Mike were talking. Faith said that the man is sick, and he needs to take medication, cod liver oil. And Mike said, "I hate to break it to you, if he won't take water from you, he probably won't take medication either." Faith had an idea. She gave Mike a coat, and now she's going to make him the doctor that talks to the patient. Nathan came over to see Faith. He said there was something going on at the saloon, and if she would like to walk over there with him. She said yes. And as they were walking to the door, she said, "Nathan, nothing has changed since the last time." Basically, she was saying that they're not a thing, and she wishes they would go back to how they were as friends. And he said, "There may be something wrong with him. I don't know what's wrong with me." And she said, "There's nothing wrong with you. I miss our friendship." And he agreed, and they walked over to the saloon. The Coulters and the Canfields were at dinner, and Lee did a toast, and he said, "To Joseph Canfield, my friend and hopefully new partner in Coulter Lumber." Rosemary said, "Congratulations, Joseph." Joseph said, "Lee, I want to tell you how much your offer means to me, how much I appreciate your friendship." Lee said, "I feel exactly the same way, but I'm at a crossroads. We're all given a certain amount of time on this earth to figure out what we want to do." And Minnie said, "And we think Joseph is meant to be a pastor." Joseph said, "There are a lot of signs pointing in many different directions, but I believe I need to listen to my heart." Lee said, "Well, unfortunately, you leave me with little choice. Joseph, my friend, you're fired." Joseph said, "Lee, my friend, I quit." Lee and Joseph shook hands, and Lee said, "You're welcome back at any time. But the truth is, I don't think you should." Rosemary did a toast to Pastor Joseph. Lee said, "To Pastor Joseph." Minnie said, "To Pastor Joseph." Joseph said, "Thank you." Henry asked Lucas to do him a favor and put an ad in the paper that all present and past students of Jack Thornton School are eligible for a scholarship so they can go to school. Everyone was coming into the saloon to hear them turn on the radio. And Molly and Rosalie and Florence came in and they were excited about the scholarship. No one knows that Henry is behind it, but Elizabeth, because that's who they're talking to. Elizabeth said, now you can go to nursing school. That's wonderful. Fiona turned on the radio and she was going through the channels trying to get a signal. And finally there was a signal and music was playing. Sounded like Christmas music. And everybody was excited and surprised. Fiona and Mike were the first to go out there on the floor and dance, and everyone joined them. Nathan was on the floor alone, looking around like he was waiting on somebody to ask him to dance. That reminded me of when he was trying to date Elizabeth and Lucas asked her to dance and he thought she was gonna, no, it was Sadie Hawkins' dance, and the women were supposed to choose the men, and she was looking, I don't know, he came in late or whatever, but Lucas came to her. No, she didn't see Nathan. I believe she was gonna ask Nathan. I believe Elizabeth was gonna ask Nathan, but he wasn't around, or she didn't see him, and she did see Lucas and she asked him to dance, and Nathan walked out the door. This gave me reminiscent of that. Faith said, shouldn't Mr. Hunter make a habit of drinking 5 glasses of water a day and eating 3 balanced meals? Mike said, I was just about to say that. The patient said, so when can I get out of here? Faith said, the doctor ordered some medication for you. We're just waiting on the pharmacist. Here she is now. May walked in the room and said, good morning. The patient said, so are you saying this lady is supposed to be a pharmacist? What is wrong with this town? Mike said, nothing is wrong with this town. And I'm not a doctor. She is. And he pointed to Faith. The patient laughed and said, good one, doc. Faith said, I think I need to have a word with my patient. Mike and May stepped back. Faith stepped over to him and said, I'll tell you what's not funny. When you came in here, you were barely breathing. Possibly you had low blood pressure. You were dehydrated. You were probably dangerously anemic. Now, how would I know that? Because I am a good doctor. And I'm your doctor. Now, let me help you. And let Miss Sue help you, because she is a good pharmacist. And Mike said, now, how about showing them a little gratitude? The patient humbled down and said, sorry, Miss Doctor. And Mike said, and Miss Pharmacist, thank you both. One of Lee's employees caught a mistake in the number of lumber order. Lee said, good job, Richard. How would you like more responsibility around here? He said, yes, thank you. I would love that. Lee said, are you sure? He said, yeah. Lee said, okay. And they shook hands on it. Nathan and Bill rode to the cabin that he sold to Madeline. When they got close to the cabin, they heard voices. And Nathan said, who could that be? And Bill was looking puzzled and said, I don't know. Bill got out, jumped off the wagon and said, hello. A man came out the cabin and said, hello, gentlemen. Can I help you? Bill said, I was about to ask you the same thing. Nathan said, this is private property, you know. The man said, yes, I know. One of you wouldn't happen to be Bill Avery, would you? Bill said, yeah, that's me. And whom might you be? Bernhardt Montague, at your service. And we surely appreciate you letting us buy the land from you, Bill. We'll make it a beautiful home. You'll see. Bill said, we? The man said, why, yes, Madeline and I. Didn't she tell you? Mrs. St. John and I are engaged to be married. Madeline is my fiancée. Bill stood there looking shocked. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.